Today's workout is workout number 1 from the Progressive Strength Building series. We're going to work for 45 seconds, 15 seconds rest, and do simple but effective movements to build strength in the lower body, upper body, and core. All you'll need is a set of light to moderate dumbbells and an optional step. Let's get started. Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We're doing a progressive strength series, 5 workouts, each 15 minutes, and we're going to vary the movements in terms of complexity and intensity. So today is the first workout, so we're going to start more simple with the movements, but that doesn't necessarily mean lightweight, although it could. We'll start lower body, then go to upper body. So you might want to start heavier and then go lighter. I'm using 20 pounds and then 15, but you can use whatever you want, whatever you have. We're going to begin with those heavier weights, again with lower body, so feet under hips. We're going to start with a deadlift. So hinge from your hips, take those weights down about mid-shin or to a flat back position and then rise. So you want to hinge from your hips. So it's different than a squat because you're pushing those weights into the thighs, shifting that weight back into your heels, and then you squeeze your butt, lift tall, hips in neutral under the shoulders. So your knees are bending, but because your hips are pushing back, right? So you're feeling that stretch to the hamstrings, and then in the glutes, when you come up, little squeeze, but not here, keep it neutral. So hinge, and then stand up. You can go, again, about mid-shin. You can even reach your feet, again, and anywhere until you get to that point where you feel like your spine is rounding or you're compensating or it just doesn't feel like that tension's in your hamstrings. That's where you want to stop. Now we're going to keep those same weights and we're going to grab a step or a staircase or whatever you have, a couple books, and we're going to do some step ups. So one foot's going to come onto the box or the step, whatever you got, and then we're going to come up and then take it back down. So we're going to stay on the same leg for this interval. So we're working 45 seconds and a 15-second recovery. So a little bit longer recovery, 5 seconds, but it makes a difference. So we can really get set and confident with the movements and with our weight selection. So with the step up, you want to make sure you're going all the way on the bench, whatever you got. Drive through the heel, stand up all the way, step back down. Now it's not necessarily fast-paced, although you could make it fast. It's less about cardio in this workout today, more about feeling that muscle activation. So drive through the heel, squeeze that glute. Brace core at the top to connect to those deep core muscles. We're always thinking about that too, even when we're lifting weights, working other muscle groups. Dumbbells down. Shake out those arms. I know some of these might test your grip strength too because we're holding the weights for a little bit longer. That's always a good thing. All right, same thing, and we're gonna switch to the other leg. So all the way up, all the way down, here we go. You want nice lifted posture, although you want to lean into it just a bit when you step up. Trying to do so just completely vertical is going to be really awkward. That little bit of forward lean is also going to help engage your glute. Again, take it at your own pace. This is not something that has to be fast in order to be effective. Again, it's all about feeling that muscle fatigue. So what muscles are we working here? Quads, glutes, hamstrings. Are you getting close to fatigue at the end? And that might even be just with body weight. You can absolutely do this with body weight. Many of these exercises can be done without dumbbells at all. So do what you can do today. And of course, we always will keep building on these movements. So next up, front squat. Take your feet a little wider than your hips here. And then we're gonna take the weights up to the collarbones. Again, you can do body weight, 1 dumbbell, whatever you got. Let's go. So sit back and down into the hips. And we're gonna drive those knees forward in line with middle toes. So we're going about knee level with the hips. We wanna feel that weight shift back into the heels and then use those heels to drive down into the floor as you lift up. Pushing through the heels engages the glutes as well as squeezing glutes at the top. Again, depth is more important than speed, so focus on that range of motion first. Then you can start to pick up the pace, but not too fast. Again, if you're going really, really fast here and it feels easy, you're not feeling the legs burn a lot, you wanna go heavier on the weights. That's the key to strength training. It's less about how many reps you do and more about feeling that muscle fatigue. Next up, you can keep your weights or drop them. I'm gonna keep 1 weight. We're gonna do a wall sit. So come on over to the wall, slide your back down, come to where your thighs are parallel to the floor and hold it. Simple as that. You can have the weight on your thighs or you can drop it. Try to commit to whatever you just selected. So you may regret having the weight now, but that's gonna add a little bit more tension to those legs. And all we're gonna do is just hang out here. Breathe and use this time to let that heart rate come down. Since it is an isometrics movement, we're just holding it. You can kind of let that heart rate come down. Although that muscle, oh man, it is under tension. Legs are on fire. These are exactly the type of movements we want. Challenging that muscular endurance. Couple more, and done. Whew. Carefully come on out of that. All right, grab your other weight if you've got it, or do body weight if you'd like. We've got a static lunge. So we're gonna take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, feet are about hip distance apart. We're gonna drop the knees to 90 degrees and then stand up. So we're staying in the split lunge or a split squat. So the back knee should drop to just above the floor, and that front knee is gonna press out about over the ankle, and front thigh is coming parallel to the floor. So you've got a little bit of a forward lean, but not too much. You wanna be able to still see your toes at the bottom. You're pressing out of that front heel, back heel staying off the ground. And again, taking it nice and slow until you get that full range. And if it feels easy still, increase that weight. You know what I'm gonna say? Just because these are simpler movements doesn't mean you can't go heavier on the weights. So the movements are gonna get more complex as we go through the series, but you definitely can start with heavier weights or just vary the weight. It might take a few workouts to kind of play around with what works for you, what really gets that muscle group to fatigue, and that's cool. These are meant to do several times. You don't have to do it just once and then move on, right? Let's hit it again. Other side. Lunges always get a bad rap because people don't like them, or just people say they're not joint friendly. But if you do them properly, with the right mechanical load, with the right technique, okay, and you might do body weight and you might need to hold on to a wall. They're so effective for training the legs because you get that isolation of the glute and hamstring, the quad, working in the both legs at the same time, just in a different way. Awesome. Okay, we're going to the floor to lie on our back. We're gonna do a glute bridge. So you might wanna wait, you might not, that's cool. Come on down and then put the weight on your legs if you've got it. Just one dumbbell should do it. Drive the heels down to the floor, lift up, lower back down. So we're just lifting and lowering, full range of motion. So butt drops to the floor and then comes up. Exhale, connect to that deep core pelvic floor at the top. This one's great because we can focus on isolating the glute without elevating the heart rate. So we kind of get a little bit of a recovery, get some interval training in. A couple more here. Nice. Okay, we're gonna stay with the glute bridge this time, make it a glute bridge pulse. Just adding layers of intensity. Again, you can keep using that weight or you can drop it to the floor, but we're gonna stay up in the top range of that bridge, so it's gonna be a small pulse. Deep breath in, let's go. Staying up at the top. Squeeze those glutes, pulse it. Again, a great isolation exercise for the glutes and hamstrings. Adding a weight is just gonna increase that resistance, but you don't need it. It's more important to keep that range of motion. Make sure you're keeping just a small arch in that lower back, but not too high with the hips, not too much of an arch in the back. Just a couple more here. Rest. Okay, we're gonna keep on to the floor, but we're gonna grab our lighter weights if you want them, or you can stay heavy, whatever works for you. We're gonna do a kneeling kickstand row. So you'll need one weight in your hand. One leg goes back, the same arm has the weight. So you're gonna row toward the open leg, pulling the weight to your hip, and keeping the opposite hand and knee on the floor. Now that leg is extended, toe is down, heel is up. We're trying not to pull the chest open. Try to keep everything square to the floor by bracing your abs, belly button to spine, keeping that hand in opposite knee, pressing firmly into the ground. And then row that weight again to your hip, elbow high, shoulder down. We want to engage through the lats, this big muscle in the part of the mid upper back. Couple more. Now, heavy weights here can be really challenging. So you can always go lighter if you find that's throwing you off balance, or just keep it here. Body weight version, that works great too. Okay, I'm gonna flip around, show you the same thing on the other side. So extend the opposite leg. Move that bench back just a little bit. You might find one side has a little bit better balance than the other. And it's gonna be normal to like shift your weight. You might have to play around with that positioning of the hand and the knee that are on the floor. But try your best not to open, and then also not to just let the weight fall down to the floor. Try to control it as best as you can. It's gonna be tough. And that little kickstand position does make it more challenging. So if you need to, bring the knees under the hips, and that's gonna take out some of that instability and make it a little easier to do it with just the focus on the row. But adding that kickstand adds a longer lever. So the further away the leg is from the body, it's gonna make it more challenging. Okay, next up, no weights needed, we're going to push up. So we're gonna start all the way on the floor from the bottom up. So thumbs near your armpits, hands just a little wider than shoulders, tuck the toes, brace the core. Come up into a plank position, and then lower down knees, and then chest all the way to the ground. You can come up like this, keeping the knees off the ground, or you can come up like I showed you initially, full plank right here. You can also come down through that plank. So a couple options, knees, toes, put the knees down, then lower, or toes and then lower, staying on the toes, keeping the knees off the ground the whole time. Engaging that core with every breath, with every push. Nice work. Okay, now we're gonna move to a chest press. So you can use, again, your lighter weights or heavier. Personally, I can go heavier on my chest. So I'm gonna stay with those heavy weights. Come to your back, weights up, knuckles to the ceiling, bring the arms down like goalposts, bring them back up together. So elbows go wide, all the way to the floor, and then squeeze through your armpits to lift, pushing the dumbbells together. At the top, it should be over that heart rate line. So it's a little lower than the shoulder line. We don't want it directly over the shoulders, but rather about mid-chest level. Help us recruit more of the pecs. And chest, again, it's a big muscle group. So usually, since we're working chest press, we're not just working the chest, we're also working triceps, biceps, shoulders. So you might be able to handle more weight than you think here. That's why I always like to encourage, play with the weight, see what's right for you. If something feels too easy or too heavy, that way next time you can switch it up. Okay, drop those heavy weights, grab your lighter weights. We're going to a kneeling upright row. So on the knees, your knees are gonna be under your hips, weights at your legs. We're gonna pull the weights up and back, leading with the elbows. So the weights are gonna come to about chest level, elbows up and then slightly back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Now, you wanna make sure you're not clenching your butt or arching your low back. Try to keep everything neutral here. So you're engaged through the core, but you're not clenching the core, the glutes, anything like that. Working those postural muscles in the back, so good for that. Postpartum or not, these are moves everybody should be doing as a part of their strength routine. Simple and effective. Okay, we're gonna come to our standing position. So feet under the hips, we're gonna do a front raise to a lateral raise. So we're gonna start with those dumbbells coming straight out front, then straight out to the side. Deep breath in, let's go. So it's front first, then lateral. So the front raise, your arms are coming out straight to the front, about shoulder height. And then from there, just take them out wide to that lateral raise, out to the side. This might be difficult to master, so if you need to, break it down, front raise, and then the lateral raise then to follow. So you can isolate the movements if it's too much to go from here to here, all as one. Use that breath. It's gonna be really hard to take them out wide, I know. I'm feeling it with those heavy weights, and we're almost there. Let's do one more together to finish. Oh, okay. Simple, but still challenging, right? So that was workout number 1. So those movements, you can continue to progress in those by changing up your weight selection, adding weight, of course, or breaking it down, taking the weight away to focus on range and technique. I always recommend doing that first before adding weight, because that's only going to increase your intensity. From here, we're going to increase intensity by adding complexity to the movements and maybe adding weight if you're up for it. So see you back here for workout number 2.